for it. Now, Vanessa, let's bring you back on screen here and back to international affairs and Israel.
Yes, another example of the absolute moral depravity of the Zionist regime, entity, and the forces. So people may have seen that there have been riots. In fact, there's potentially been the start of a civil war in Israel itself. Not quite for the reasons that people might expect. So Israeli soldiers, this was in Riots, suspected of raping Palestinian prisoner arrested, sparking far-right riot. Minister among Israelis that were rioting, not in favor of stopping this appalling, basically anal rape of detainees with blunt objects, but in favor of defending the military, the 9 Israeli soldiers in the Stay Taman Detention Center, claiming that they were raping a Palestinian detainee in self-defense because they felt threatened by that detainee. Israeli military police raided Stay Taman, but were met with resistance by soldiers who reportedly barricaded themselves into the facility and used pepper spray to defend themselves before eventually being taken into custody. They were suspected of abusing a Palestinian detainee who, according to Arab 48, is suffering from a serious wound in his rectum area. This is not an isolated incident, according to multiple testimonies from former detainees. And so then this was put out by Afshin Ratansi of Going Underground. Israel is descending into civil war on the right of Israeli soldiers to rape Palestinians. The moderate wing rape is wrong and commit genocide by bombing, shooting, and ethnically cleansing them instead. The extreme wing, which is the majority of the current administration, and actually the majority of Israelis, according to many analysts, Israeli soldiers should be allowed to rape Palestinians. Another headline in Israeli media bordering on anarchy, IDF chief sounds alarm after right-wing mob overruns a second base, also apparently accused of carrying out the same appalling torture. And then I just wanted to show this. This is a video of 2 Knesset members arguing with each other in the Knesset over whether rectal rape should be allowed or not. So let's just roll this.
פעמים שם שכנראה בגלל איזה שהם טענות של יחס למחבלי נוח'בה, ויש שם אירוע של התבצרות וכולי. הטרלול שהמדינה שלנו נכנסת אליו סביב הסיפור הזה הוא מטורף וצריך להפסיק אותו, ואני חושב שצריך פה לתת דוגמה אישית, ואני אומר עכשיו, ואני קורא לחברי הקואליציה לעשות כמוני, אני קם ואני יוצא מפה, ואני לא הולך להצביע יותר על שום דבר, עד שהסיפור הזה והטרלול הזה, שיש מי שבפרקליטות חושב שאפשר לבוא ולעצור חיילים על דברים שעושים למחבלי נוח'בה, לא נגמר. אוקיי? ואני מאוד מבקש, ואני חושב שחבריי בקואליציה טוב יעשו, אם יעשו כמוני. אנחנו לא יכולים להמשיך כרגיל.
להכניס מקל לרקטום של בן אדם, זה לגיטימי?
כן, אם הוא נוח'בה, הכל לגיטימי לעשות לו. הכל! הכל!
זה מה שרציתי.
הכל, האנשים האלה, אתה יודע מה עשו?
אוקיי.
מנו, טוב.
יש דברים שלא עושים.
Not quite sure how I follow up after that. But then let's have a look at US State Department spokesperson Vedant Patel try to argue or justify the same crime.
Israeli police detained soldiers yesterday, or the day before yesterday, suspected of raping a Palestinian, sparking protests and so on. Apparently, rape and killing and torture and all this thing, it happens regularly in Israeli detention camps. Does that constitute a war crime to you?
So the reports of abuse are deeply concerning, and we have been clear and consistent with Israel and the IDF that they need to treat all detainees humanely and with dignity in accordance with humanitarian law. We also, I spoke a little bit about this earlier in the week, Said, we reiterate the support that the IDF is investigating some of these allegations of serious abuse of Palestinian detainees, and that is news that we welcome, and we're going to let that process, and we believe in due process, and we're going to let that process play out.
2 quick points. Now, if proven to be true, that does constitute a war crime, doesn't it?
I'm not a legal expert, Saeed. It certainly, I imagine it would be inconsistent with Israeli law. And so, of course, that is why we have been clear that the treatment of any detainee needs to be consistent with international humanitarian law.
Also quite extraordinary. But I suppose they have Guantanamo to fall back on. But now let's finally just have a little clip of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. arguing the morality of the Zionist armed forces.
So they've achieved they protected in the most challenging conditions. The Israeli government the IDF has protected civilians better than any army in history. John Spencer said it has done more to protect civilians under more difficult circumstances than any army in history.
I have actually written extensively at my Substack about Israel's culture of rape and child abuse, and that includes offering refuge to multiple accused and prosecuted pedophiles, particularly from the United States, that are given access to Israel without any issue whatsoever. The rape of their own refugees, particularly settlers from the north that have come into temporary accommodation in the south of the occupied territories. It is a systemic issue within the Israeli armed forces, both rape and sexual harassment, and rape of boys, girls, and adults within the detention system there in the occupied territories. Quite extraordinary what we're watching at the moment.
Absolutely, and absolutely extraordinary that there's even an argument about it. But